All right, welcome back to Talkin Ball with Pat Leonard, brought to you by My Bookie, Hooks, Rubs, and Spices, Boom Chaga Mushroom Super Drink, and Sal Loretta for Men. It is Giants Broncos week. Excited to preview this big matchup out in Denver with, of course, our favorite guest, Bennie Fowler, Super Bowl 50 champion, now doing some great work with DNVR Sports. Broncos X's and O's is the show with Dave Logan and Bennie Fowler. If you ever want to break down a Denver Broncos game inside and out, X's and O's, that's the place to do it. Beans, great to see you. Thanks for being here. And the first question is, how was London?
Pat, great to see you. London was interesting, man. It was a good time. It's very much like a bowl game. You know, it's it's a unique atmosphere. They don't necessarily know all of the rules and all the things that are going on, but they love the football and the American football, as we say it, or as they say it, I should say. But stadium was really cool. It was a lot of fun. The game was really, really boring, as you could see from the score 13-11. Wasn't a lot of excitement, but it was a really good time. London was a lot of fun. I love the city, so had a really good time out there.
Awesome. Well, welcome back. And I know this is a big weekend too, and a huge event. Like you said, bowl game atmosphere there. But now you come back to Denver, and congratulations, must be great. Super Bowl 50 team being honored, 10th anniversary on the day of this Broncos Giants game. What are just your emotions, with everybody coming back into town and getting together kind of to celebrate that big win?
I don't know if I have any emotions just yet, but it'll be cool to see everybody. I think there's over 200 alumni coming back, so it's not just our team, but it's previous teams. It's the Hall of Famers that have played for the organization. So it's going to be really cool. And then, they're putting Demaryius Thomas into the Ring of Fame. So it'll be cool to see his name up there now every time that you go to the stadium to see DT's number up there. So that'll be a lot of fun, but got a lot of good friends coming back. One of my good friends, Julius Thomas, is coming back, Virgil Green, guys that I hung out a lot with. So it'll be cool to just see everybody in one room together, which hasn't happened. I mean, I haven't seen a lot of these guys in 10 years. So it'll be a lot of fun just to celebrate that. And yeah, it'll be cool to see.
I was going to ask you about Demaryius. Is there? I mean, you've mourned a loss of a good friend. Is there a feeling of something missing with him not being there, or is it joy? Seeing his number go up like that, and with the team honoring him the way they're going to here.
Yeah, it'll be definitely a little sad for sure, just because, yeah, he's not physically there, but then, his parents will be there. It'll be good to have the entire stadium and organization acknowledge his contributions on and off the field. But yeah, I mean, him not being there, we also a good friend and teammate of mine, Ronnie Hillman, who passed away a couple years ago as well,
Right.
won't be there. The quarterback coach, Greg Knapp, who got hit by a bicycle, I think in New Jersey when he's
Yeah.
coaching with the Jets, he won't be there. So I think it's 6 or 7 people that have passed since this team has won the Super Bowl. So there'll definitely be some heavy hearts, but it'll also be a great celebration.
Glad you guys are being honored and that they are being honored properly as well. Shifting focus to an exciting game, Benny. I really didn't expect any exciting Giants games, closing into Halloween. But here we are. Jaxson Dart's got them 2-1 in the last 3, but they're 7-point underdogs going into Denver. Broncos are 4-2, 7 straight wins at home going back to more than a calendar year ago, October 13th against the Chargers. But Benny, my question for you is Broncos 3 straight wins, 4-2, all that great success at home. Are they more of a vulnerable team, though, based on how the offense is playing, or are they ascending? Because when I look at their schedule, the wins are over the Titans, the Bengals, a Philly team that's a mess, and the Jets, with losses to the Colts and the Chargers. Then again, they're playing some high-level ball, especially on defense. So my question to you, Broncos, vulnerable or ascending?
I wouldn't say they're vulnerable. I wouldn't say they're ascending. I would say it's just kind of flat right now. They are, the offense has had some highs, some lows. The offense is really inconsistent right now, but the one thing that is consistent is the defense and the number one defense. And, it is fitting that it's the Super Bowl reunion, but you can win a Super Bowl with a defensive led team. So, having the best pass rush, duo right now in the NFL. We have a 10 they have a 10 sack lead on everybody in the entire NFL. They got 30 sacks right now through 6 games. So I would say right now it's just kind of flat. The offense has to pick it up, but if the offense does pick it up, I mean, it's going to be a very dangerous team. So that's what I would say about that. The defense is number 1 or top 5 in the league and number 1 in sacks by far. So you got the defensive player of the year at Pat Surtain on the outside. So, the team is what it is right now. The special teams has to be cleaned up. Offense has to be better, but you got the weapons. They just got to they have to find a way to put it all together.
How do you envision, I don't know how much Giants film you've watched. I'm sure you've watched some of the games. How do you envision Jaxson Dart being able to handle the kind of pressure that's coming his way here? Because a lot of his success is that mobility, the maneuvering or escaping of the pocket through lanes. And it feels like what the Broncos do is they bring pressure, they win, and they clog those lanes. So X's and O's wise, like how do you envision from what you see Vance Joseph's side running in Denver matching up against what the Giants have, which is missing Malik Neighbors, obviously out for the year. Slayton, we'll see. He's not practicing right now, but they're going to be shorthanded at receiver regardless. They have Skattebo, who's running hard, but, it's under 4 yards a carry for him. And a lot of what Dart does is with his legs.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for Jaxson Dart just based off of the looks and pressures that Vance will bring. It sometimes could look like blitz 0, and then he's dropping out 3, or he's dropping out everybody and only rushing 4, then he's doing all out blitz. So I would say it's going to be hard for him to keep plays alive just with his legs like he was able to do and like he's been able to do. Number one, I will acknowledge that he is playing extremely well. His personality fits New York, and it's cool to see. But what I will say is that it's a little bit different with the pass rush that the Broncos present and Vance Joseph's looks, and just the way that he can confuse the defense. If you looked at the Philadelphia game, they were obviously up 17-3, but his second half creativity and game plan forced Jalen Hurts to hold the ball. One of the things that the Broncos do really well with their pass rush is that they are disciplined in their rush lanes, and they don't create a lot of rush lanes for quarterbacks to step up into and take off. Justin Fields last week had, I don't know, negative 10 passing yards, really 45 overall if you take away the sacks. But he's always been able to keep the play alive because of the way he scrambles. But because of the Broncos and their pass rush attack and them staying disciplined in those rush lanes, he was not able to extend any plays and run for first downs. And I think you'll see something similar here this week with Vance confusing Jaxson with different looks, forcing him to hold the ball or stay within that pocket. And it might not be a whole bunch of blitzes. It might just be that, hey, we're going to stay right here in front of you, and we're going to force you to actually read this defense and throw the ball into coverage. And the Broncos have been playing extremely great coverage this year.
Are they getting Dre Greenlaw back for this game? And if they do, how much more does that add? I mean, I know he's a great player, but schematically, what do you think that would add as a piece to the middle of the defense there?
I don't think it changes anything schematically. Also, I'm not a defensive guy, so I can't just dive into that and say what it would change. What I will say it will change is just the attitude and bring in even more of a mindset. And I think when you're playing a Cam Skattebo who is just a battering ram and just runs into everybody, he's looking for contact all the time, that's where a Dre Greenlaw comes into play because he doesn't hide from any contact at all.
From what you've seen from Dart on New York side, I mean, it's only a 3-game sample size, but like you mentioned, his swagger, his playmaking. What do you see that encourages you about, him being like a franchise quarterback? Like it might be how he reacts to adversity. It might just be some of the playmaking elements, but from a receiver's perspective, what do you see?
I see somebody who enjoys playing the game, and he's got his little diamond chain on. And I wouldn't say little diamond chain, but he's got his diamond chain on underneath his pads, and I think he has that type of swagger that is infectious within a locker room, and I think that's one of the most important things is people will live with the mistakes because of the effort that he's putting out there. And he looks like he really cares about the game. And it was interesting to see Dayball, get mad at Russell Wilson and try to force Jaxson Dart back into the game when he was in the blue tent. That was kind of crazy, but that just shows the type of belief that even the coaches have, and they call different plays. And I think the Giants have scored in every opening possession that
Yep.
Jaxson Dart's been the starting quarterback. So that speaks to something right there.
Well put. Yeah. Well, what a scene that was. Dable basically saved his job with that win in that game, but he still wasn't able to come out of it clean because now he's being investigated by the NFL and the union for that scene. And Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk said that they could actually lose a draft pick, like if it goes worst case scenario. But definitely
You think he saved his job?
For now. I mean, this brings us to actually the next question. It's a good segue. What I think it did is it opened the door to him saving his job because he was, number one, Benny, the reason they steered their scouting report or their scouting process off of Shador as their guy and went to Dart in the end. It was Daboll's influence on that. And then the second thing is he put Dart in week 4, against what other people in the building and in the front office wanted. And so far, it looks like the right call. So you get to the end of this season. I mean, obviously, if you only have 2 or 3 wins, then it's a moot point. But if you get to the end of this season and you have 6, 7, 8 wins, and it's because of Dart and what the offense has done since you put him in, you don't think that he saved his job there?
I mean, I just think that's too early to tell. And right now, there's not a big sample size, but we'll see how he does this weekend. We'll see what it looks like at the end of the season. But
Yeah.
it's pretty interesting. The Philly win was a very convincing win, but there's still more games to be played, and we'll see. I guess we'll see what it looks like. But to me, 6 wins doesn't save the job.
Yeah, you know how I feel in general, big picture. I think that saving jobs at this point is actually counterproductive because I just don't believe this general manager or head coach are the right leaders for an organization that wants to sustain and create success. But I'm more judging the way I think the ownership and the organization is going to react to minimal success. I mean, right now, this brings me to my next Giants question. Right now, they're making calls all around the league talking about trying to trade for a receiver. Like they think off of the Eagles game, which again, like you said, convincing win, good win, great win considering where they've been in the last few years. But they are judging themselves as, hey, look at our division, right? If we're not that far back, we got another matchup with the Eagles in 2 weeks. Dallas is imperfect. Washington's imperfect. So they're viewing themselves now as a team that maybe can go for something. Do you think it's wise for them to think that way, or do you think that's a little bit of fool's gold?
I don't think it's wise for them to think that way. I mean, if the player that they can trade for can be a long-term asset and not just a contract dump off, like you're not going to the Super Bowl this year, so you got to be smart there with trading away picks, for a receiver. But if this is somebody that can fit alongside Malik Neighbors next year and for years to come, at least 2 years, that makes a lot of sense. But yes, the division is kind of wide open, but I don't see the Giants winning the division. But I think, if you're in that building, you're trying to save your job and you're looking at I think you guys have one of the best pass rushes like out there. Brian Burns is incredible. Obviously, Dexter Lawrence, Thibodeau, and then Abdul Carter. I mean, that's just crazy amount of talent right there. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see, but I don't know what type of receiver that they could trade for right now, to help Jaxson Dart. I think that would just not necessarily hurt him more, but I just don't see why would you give up future picks?
Let me give you one name there. Cause like you said, you're ruling out guys who are like older veteran rentals and you don't want too expensive unless it's for a guy who maybe can grow with them. So I'm just going to give you the name that I think is the top potential target. What would you think of a Chris Olave trade from New Orleans? Now, that wouldn't be cheap, right? Like you're talking probably New Orleans wanting a 2 or a 3 in that trade. Is that something he has 1 more year left on his deal? So it would be for the rest of this year and next year at the very least. Would you entertain that, thinking that might be a good idea for the Giants, or still no?
Depends on the picks. He is a incredible talent. He's a great route runner. He's got great hands. All these Ohio State receivers have played really well throughout the league. I just don't know. His concussion history scares me a little bit. And if the price is too high, I don't think it's worth it.
Got it. All right. Let's go to the side of the ball that feels like and you just mentioned it feels like if the Giants are going to not only just cover the spread, but win this game, it will be with their defense and preying on a Denver offense that has a lot of weapons, but has really not found its way in recent weeks. And like I said, you and Dave Logan did a great job on DNVR Sports, Broncos X's and O's, talking about this. What are Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and the Broncos not getting to on offense to reach their full potential? Because when you look on paper, it does look promising and exciting, but at least recently it hasn't resulted in points.
I would say they're just missing the consistency right now. And I would say it is hard to sustain drives. It's hard to have long drives. It's hard to score on drives when you beat yourself with penalties. Bo Nix doesn't get sacked a lot, so it's not sacks. It is the penalties. It's, okay, we got a 3rd and 5 or a 3rd and 1, and then there's a false start penalty or there's a holding penalty. That's what's killing the Broncos' drive. So I think Sean Payton has designed a lot of things open, but penalties have killed this team throughout the entire year. I don't know. The Broncos got to be a top 5 penalized team for sure throughout this entire year, especially on offense. So I think that's one of the things that's hurting the Broncos offense, and they have a lot of weapons. And I think it's hard right now, I feel like Sean's trying to figure out what Bo likes. He's trying to figure out, how to get Evan the ball because he's such a dynamic playmaker. You got J.K. Dobbins, you got RJ Harvey, and then you got the young kids, Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims. And then, and I think I said Cortland Sutton, that's Bo's go-to guy. So it's just a lot there. And how do you design all these plays? And I think it's hard for a play caller if they don't get in a rhythm. It's hard to, as a play caller, well, how do I get Cortland the ball, or how do I get Evan the ball if we're going 3 and out, or we only had 6 plays on that drive? And then you got to find a way to get your playmakers the ball. It becomes hard as a play caller to me to do that when your drives aren't long.
Sounds like they're overcomplicating it maybe. Yeah, that's
well, I mean, I don't think it's overcomplication. I think it's the penalties. If you have these drives where, okay, you get 1 first down and then but you only have 6 plays, or then you have, a couple of 3 and outs,
and you're running the ball 2 or 3 of those plays.
Yeah. And it's like, all right, well, Evan hasn't touched the ball yet. Like, how do you start thinking about that? You start overthinking. You overcomplicate it then, but I think it's because of the penalties.
Why are they doing so well with him not taking sacks? Is it the protection? Is it his mobility? Is he good at getting the ball out quickly?
Yeah, I think Sean does a great job of just, number one, helping him get the ball out quickly. The way he designs things, he's on the run a lot of play action fakes. And then, he is a strong runner. He's somebody that can extend plays, very much like Jaxson Dart. He can escape out of different things, difficult situations, and extend the play, run for a first down or run for a couple of yards. So he's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the league. So I think last year he was second behind Josh Allen in terms of not taking sacks, or maybe he was number 1 of not taking sacks. So Bo knows how to get the ball away.
And how is their running game? And let me put an addendum to this. I saw some coverage, going into this week with the success that Skattebo is having. Saw some people in the Denver media talking about, hey, was it a mistake taking RJ Harvey so much higher in the 2nd round of this draft than a guy like Skattebo, who is giving the Giants what he's giving? What do you think of that comparison? Do you feel like Harvey does need to show a lot more? Is that an unfair comparison based on their different usages? How do you view that comp? And then just overall, is Denver running the ball well enough?
Denver's ran the ball better this year than they have in the past. Very inconsistent, though. You've had 3 games out of the 6 where the running game has looked really good and really promising, and you're getting those 4.5, 5 yards of carry. And then there are games where, like last week, where the run game was pretty inconsistent. Ben Powers, the left guard on the offensive line, him going out, is huge because this offensive line played every single game together last year and every single game up until the Philly game together. So him being out, I think, is tough on the run game. So I don't know how the Broncos are going to address that. The comparison with Skattebo and Harvey doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, I could see it's easy to say that. One of the things here in Denver that people talk about all the time was if they had drafted Josh Allen instead of whoever that year. It's like, well, the infrastructure wasn't in place for Josh Allen to succeed here. And you're talking about now a finished product or an elite product that had all of the infrastructure and everything in place for him to be successful in Buffalo, which wasn't here in Denver. There were some talented quarterbacks here in Denver that didn't work out. You had too many coaches, offensive coordinators getting fired. I say all that to say is, RJ Harvey's coming along probably right where they want him to be. I don't know if they expected him to start. As reason why they signed J.K. Dobbins. Also, the offensive coordinators are very different and the offenses are very different. They're handing the ball off to Cam Skattebo a lot. He's got a complicated offense and you become a receiver in this offense. I don't know how Cam does catching the ball out of the backfield,
Pretty
but
well, yeah.
Yeah, very, very different in terms of the play caller and the way things are schemed up. Also, Cam is getting the ball because there's nobody else really on that team to carry the load, not from the running back position. And also with Slay being out and then also Malik Neighbors being out, you got to find a way to generate some type of offense. I think RJ Harvey would probably do really well in that situation in New York, with Dayball being the play caller and then a lack of weapons. But as we just pointed out, there are no lack of weapons here in Denver. It's hard trying to figure it out right now.
Yeah, no, good point. Good point. All right. So how do you see this game shaking out? I don't know if you're ready to give a prediction yet, but I know in New York, people are interested that the Giants are 7-point underdogs. I mean, we know it's a road game. We know the Broncos have had success at home, but beating the Eagles, everyone's sky high. And then they look at the opening line and everybody goes, whoa, 7-point dog. So what do you think? Is that, do the Broncos validate that? Do they roll with the Super Bowl 50 champions in the house? Or is this a tight one?
I mean, yeah, 7 is a lot. I don't know if I would take the over there, but I do have a bold prediction that Jaxson Dart throws a pick 6 because the no-fly zone is back in town. And it'd just be really fitting to have a defensive touchdown, which I don't think the Broncos have this year. And we scored a lot of defensive touchdowns that year. So that is my bold prediction is, pick 6 or fumble recovery for a touchdown defense. Denver's defense scores. That's the only prediction that I have right now. I don't know what the score will be, but I see the Broncos pulling it out for sure.
All right. Yeah. Well, basically, Dart, no turnovers in their 2 wins, and then he with 3 turnovers and the Giants with 5 in their 1 loss to the Saints. So we see where that prediction is going. I like you tying that all in together. Benny, 2 quick ones. I know your time is short. One, you just had to watch that mess of a Jets offense and operation. I know the defense played pretty well in the game. Do you think Aaron Glenn can pull them out of the gutter and save the team and himself? Or did you see, like with that end of half situation, did you see a team that's in near disarray?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's a lot of belief. I think it's going to be super hard for Aaron Glenn. I don't know. Who's the GM?
He came from Denver, didn't he? He was, hold on a second. I should know that off the top of my head. There was Darren Muji. He was the assistant GM of the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't know if I have real belief in all of the infrastructure in New York, whether it's head coach, GM, ownership. I think all 3 of those have to be tied in and on the same page. So everything seems a little inconsistent there. I think it's going to be a tough road. I think Justin Fields is a good player, but I don't think he's your guy long term. Garrett Wilson's got to get out of there. He's too talented to be there. I don't know. It's just tough. So I don't see it going particularly well for them.
And I just wanted to give you your flowers. The Kansas City Chiefs at 0-2. You were on here at that point predicting that they were going to be in the Super Bowl. I think people
Is Pat Mahomes now the MVP favorite?
I believe he is. In fact, I don't know if I told you this or not, but the stories that I write sometimes get syndicated like across the country at different brother and sister papers. And a relative out in like the San Diego area, a day after you said that, and I put it in the Daily News, it basically got clipped as like a crazy comment that had been made in the sports world and put underneath, like, and it was, here's Bennie Fowler predicts the Chiefs at 0-2 are going to revitalize it. They're going to be in the Super Bowl. And so now where are we at? This is a team right now, 3-3. They got Vegas, Washington, and the Bills coming up before the bye. And Rashee Rice coming back this week. So I don't even know if it's a question. I just wanted to give you, some credit here.
Yeah, they'll probably make a trade too. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, the best player in the world.
Never count him out. Benny always teaches us never count him out. All right.
Well, never count him out. Never count Andy Reid out. When we talk about great teams, organizations, doesn't matter who it is, the infrastructure is there. And I think infrastructure is something that I continue to lean on, whether it's business or you have personal infrastructure or just great teams, organizations. If you have great ownership, a great GM, especially in football, and a great quarterback and coach that are all on the same page, you can never count them out. They're super talented. And sometimes you got to get knocked on your ass, which they did, and they've been humbled. I don't think they're just going to run the table right now, but right now I don't see, if the playoffs started today, I don't see anybody that they're scared of. But if somebody is across the sideline from them, coaches coach completely different when they play against them.
Right. And to your point, if they just they're off the mat now, and if they get into the playoffs, it's one game elimination, their coaching staff and quarterback and team against whoever else. That's the issue there, right? It's not, we're not talking about the 18 week season anymore. It's a one and done. And I will say this, Benny, too, watching them in person against the Giants in week 3, and I've seen them play in this iteration of the Chiefs several times in person, but I was struck, like you said earlier, about how disciplined the Broncos pass rush is. Their defense under Spagnuolo, every guy on the field, everyone does exactly what is asked of him and nothing else, and nothing more and nothing less.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see it the entire game. And like they're not, like you said, they're not a perfect team. They're just not going to beat themselves. Like they're not
going to wait for you to make the mistake, and then they're going to score.
Yeah.
Tom Brady and the Patriots were like that. They'd be down in games, and then once you made the first mistake, it was a wrap. You fumble the ball or you throw a pick, then they start scoring, and then it's over.
They just know it's a 4-quarter game, and they're just
yeah.
Benny, you're the man. So he predicted the Chiefs getting off the mat and going to the Super Bowl last time. He was right. This week he predicts a Denver pick 6 or defensive touchdown. So go get that on my bookie. The Chiefs covering against the Raiders, by the way, my best bet. But this is our best guest, of course, every time he comes on. Again, Super Bowl 50 champion, Bennie Fowler. Go check him out, DNVR Sports. Broncos X's and O's with Dave Logan and Bennie Fowler. They will break down this Giants-Broncos game early next week. You can find me breaking it down on Talkin Ball and Benny on Broncos X's and O's. Beans, thanks so much, man. Really appreciate it.
Pat, appreciate you.